Hello everyone, welcome to 3DDesignAcademy.com. In this lesson, we will continue with part 5 of the Lamborghini Aventador project. So in the previous lesson, we spent some time working on the upper, so I think the roof at least has some basic shape, so I think I'm going to go ahead and move on to the body side. So I think what I'm going to do is work on the body side a little bit and move on to the rear. So let's go ahead and establish some surfaces. So the first thing I'm going to do is I think I'm going to, well, right now this is a LP700. So I think I'm going to work on this little flat over here, right by the glass. And I'll try to establish my way from the top to the bottom. So let's go ahead and create some surfaces. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and, well, actually I do feel like this needs to be pushed in just a little bit. So maybe I might do that. I'm kind of hesitant to be honest, because I don't know how it's going to affect the others, but let's go ahead and try to do some of that. Okay, so it looks like it is actually in this layer over here. So before I continue, let me just hide all these curves because they're actually quite in the way. So I'm just going to hide all these curves over here, and actually while I'm at it, I'm just going to delete the construction. Well, actually there's not much history to delete, so I'll just leave it. I'm just going to place the curves over here, and I'm going to get this one back in, and I'm going to try and establish this a little bit better so that it fits better. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, well, let me just push this in a little bit like this, and let's see what I can do. Okay, so at least that fits a little bit better, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the stretch tool to point this out just a little bit, and hopefully that'll allow me to push this in a little bit. Now I know it's a little bit off, but at least it's constant offset from the A-pillar. It should be okay. And also usually A-pillar, as it goes down to the bottom, it usually gets a little bit wider. I don't know if that's the case for this car, because right now it's blocked by the side mirror, so it's kind of hard to see. Well, looking at the picture, I don't think that is the case. I think it only goes, gets a little bit bigger as it goes outboard. So maybe I'll probably need to update this a little bit. And, well, actually, let me just hide this layer, hide this surface for a second. Well, maybe I can, well, maybe this is the line that I should be pursuing instead of this one. Actually, let me check the side view. Yeah, I mean the trim. I don't know if this rubber. The rubber seal here seems to be quite big, so maybe that's what needs to happen. So maybe this line is okay. Okay, all right. Now that's a little bit closer. I think that gives me a little bit better line to work with. I know it's a little bit inward over here, but I think it should be all right. So let's go ahead and establish some flats. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to establish this surface over here that goes all the way through. Usually all cars have a little flat there, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to strike a curve right here. And actually, let me just change this to degree 2 like this. And I'm going to change this one to degree 2. Now you can probably use a draft depending on the situation, just a preference. And I'm just going to give it a little bit of a crown like this. And I'm just going to use the stretch tool to give it a little bit of draft like this. So it's got a bit of an angle. And now I'm just going to use the rail over here like this, and I'm going to do the same thing over here like that. I think as far as this curve goes, it's not too bad, but well, maybe I think I might have to raise this up a little bit. So the thing is, the line actually might be a little bit different. So let me just check. Yeah, it looks like this has a little positive, this has a little negative. I think by giving a little bit of negative like this, I think that's going to help with the overall shape. So let me just go ahead and do that. Now I don't want to keep, well, actually, you know what? I'm just going to shorten it up a little bit. I think this is too long for me to control. So I'm just going to cut the curve, extend the curve back like this. And I'm going to move this CV up like this. And I'm going to move this down like that. And I'm just going to move this up so that it's got a little negative shape, which this, I think, car requires. So I'm just going to extend this back like that. I think that looks pretty good. Now, I do think I need to update the rail, but that's for a little bit later. Okay, so what this does is I push this up, so it should be a little bit close to here. So whenever you are doing this kind of manipulation, you just want to make sure that you are establishing and changing different elements as needed. So I'm just going to move it up just a bit like that. And like that. Okay, so I think that looks much better. All right. The only problem is right now these surfaces are a little bit off. So I'm just going to go ahead and reestablish them like this. And I'm going to do the same thing over here like this. And I think that looks pretty good. Now, I think I might have to add a little bit more thickness to this one. I was hoping... it's kind of hard to see over here, so I don't think that's a good reference. I don't know if it's supposed to be this thick, but at least in the canvas, it does seem to be so. Therefore, I'm going to, well, let's stretch it out just a little bit more. Okay, so I would say that's good enough. I don't think I'm going to make it too thick because right now I don't see a huge thickness in the actual model. So I think I'm just going to leave it like that. That said, however, I don't like how many spans that there are. So I'm just going to try and see if I can realign it. So I'm just going to position a line over here. And I'm going to have, well, let's expand this a little bit. I'm going to have blending on, extra zeros 2. I'm going to have reduce the blend factor to 0. Position influence to max. I'm going to change this to, well, let's start. Okay, so looks like just reducing the spans and degree 3 isn't going to work. So I'm just going to increase the degree to 4. Looks like we got position, but I just want to make sure that it's super tight. So I'm going to do curve and curve to curve. Okay, 0.008, that's perfect. So I would say that's good enough. And we got our flat over here. So right now the flat is supposed to continue until this point. So that's perfect. That said, however, I think, well, I don't need that one. Okay, so this line is supposed to continue all the way through, so I might have to extend that surface in a little bit. And in order to do so, I think I might want to just stretch this down a little bit, and maybe I'll just move this up a little bit like that. And I think I'm actually going to extend this a little bit so that I know that this matches over here. Okay. I think that's a little bit better. I don't know if this line is supposed to be going down. Well, this is actually rising up, so maybe that's I know it's supposed to be diving down this way because of this feature over here over the wheel, but I don't think it's, well, we'll see. All right, so I would say that's good enough, and let's establish some surface. So right now, this I think also needs to be updated. So I'm going to just redo that. So it's going to be Morel 1 and 1, like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a surface over here, and I think, well, there are several ways you can do this. I think I'm going to start by just using a rail like this. And Okay, so I think I'm just going to do a rail. I'm just going to bring a curve down like that. And from the top view, it needs to go outboard. So I'm just going to establish something like that. And of course, it does need a little bit of crown. So I'm just going to add a little bit of crown like this. And I'm just going to run a rail, straight rail, using this one. Okay, so the only problem is, I think the thickness from the side isn't too bad. Of course, it needs to be a little bit thinner. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be thinner, but at least in the canvas, it looks like it is. All right, so that is fine, but the problem is, as you can see over here, it's quite a little bit off from the top view. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a fit curve, and I'm going to make it degree 2. Now it's only off by 0.1, so I would say that's not bad. And I'm just going to bring this curve out like that, and I'm going to just push it in so that it's a little bit similar. Now this curve over here, I am going to hide it for now, like that. And these curves over here, I can hide it over here as well. The project, I'm just going to get rid of. Okay, so right now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to establish, well, actually, this seems parallel. I don't think it's actually going up. So maybe let's move the whole curve just all the way up like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a freeform blend. It's going to be positioned on both sides so that I'm basically using it like a skin tool. And I'm just going to do a, let's see, proportional crown on. And for the value, I would say well, I'm just going to start with 0.01. Actually, you know what? I think there's more volume there. So I'm just going to maybe set a 0.02. to start with, and let's see how the highlight looks. Oh, actually it's not bad. So this is one of the reasons why I like to use a complementary curve, because basically if the curve shapes are similar, then usually you can get very good results on the surface. Now that said, however, it needs to be a lot longer, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to extend this curve all the way through. And I'm going to stop this as default like this. And I probably need to bring this down a little bit. Okay, so now that is changing the curve structure a little bit. So I'll have to check back to make sure that the highlight is good. But I do want to extend this a little bit further actually. And let's see if that's going to be okay. Now I am going to put a fillet here. So think of it as a sort of a, how would you call it? Like a theoretical. So I'll have to see if it works later. The highlight looks still looks pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with that. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to extend this piece over here like this so that we can establish a bigger flat over here. Actually, I'm just going to go all the way through like that. Hopefully that'll work. Yeah, I think that was good. Okay, so now let's establish some of the other surfaces over here. I think I'm going to go ahead and, since we already have this, I'm going to establish the curves for this one. Just going to create a curve like this. Give it a little bit of crown from the side view. Oh, actually, I do need this curve over here, so I'm just going to bring both of them out over here. Now, this is a very critical character line, and depending on the situation, I might have to redo this, which should be quite unfortunate, but we'll see. Okay, so from the top view, I think, well, actually, I'm not quite sure. So according to the orthographic drawing, I think it is supposed to go over here. If you look at this image over here, so I think it needs to go a little bit forward. Well, I'm going to hold off on that just a little bit so that I can establish this first. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give it a little bit of crown. I would love to bring this down, but the problem is it's going to affect this one. So, well, maybe it's inevitable. So I'm just going to raise this up like this to give it a little more positive crown over here. The only problem is it's going from thin to thin, so it might have a little bit of impact on the highlight. It's not bad. It's definitely within tolerance. But as you can see over here, it's diagonal over here and it's flowing a little bit differently over there. But I would say it's not bad. Okay, so next up, well, actually this line, I don't know if it's supposed to be just one surface or if this is supposed to be broken. Well, that said, however, let's establish some of the surface over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy and paste this over here. And I'm going to, let's see, fit curve. Just going to bring this out like that. And I'm going to just bring this down. Because as you can see, it's going a little bit negative over here. So you want to establish this surface like that. Now, since we have this one, I'm going to just use a freeform blend again. I'm going to give it a little bit of crown like this. It's going to default over here. So too much volume there. So I'm going to do connect ends. And I'm just going to modify the range like this to do that. And I think there might be too much crown. So I'm just going to reduce it to 0.1. Now this is partly due to the angle of the surface over here. So if I just move this like this, you will see that it's a little bit flat. But this also depends on how I want to establish the surface. So I'm just going to leave it like this, and we'll have to modify it later. Okay, and I might have to do some individual CV pulling, but we'll leave that for later. And I'm going to establish the surface for this one. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a curve for this one. I'm just going to snap over here. So looks like this line is supposed to go in a little bit, which is fine. I just have to make sure to do it. And I'm just going to check a top view to make sure. Oh, this is LP 700. Well, at least I can reference this a little bit. And I think there might be, well, actually it's all positive, so I don't think that really matters. Although I do, well, yeah, I think there's a little bit of acceleration towards the end, but it's not, yeah. Okay. So for this one, I think I'm just going to leave it like this. I might just pop this out just a hair like that, and I'm going to give it a little bit of crown, and let's finish it off with the square since we already have 4 edges. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4 like this. Nice and simple. And we got that surface established. Now I know there's a little bit of kink over here, so I'll probably have to do some adjustments later. I probably have to add a little bit of crown here, but right now I'm just establishing patches. So I think I'll just leave that for now. Okay, so let's go ahead and establish some of the other surfaces as well. Oh, okay. I should have been a little bit more mindful of that. Looks like this needs to go all the way through. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a fit curve like this, and I'm going to make sure that this is lined up to this feature over here. Now, I do feel like it's not matching that well. Well, let's see if top view gives us a little bit clue. That does complicate things a little bit, because right now I do see a little negative over here. I think that might be from the top view as well. So I think it's going in and going back out. which means I need to establish two surfaces for this one. So I'm just going to stick it back in like this. And I probably need to snap a curve over here as well to establish this one. Now, the only problem is right now, as I've said, that does complicate things a little bit. But that's how it looks like it is shaped. So, unfortunately, I have to do what is correct. Okay, so if that's the case, I'm just going to leave it like this, and I might... I do need to establish a surface over here, so I think I'm just going to use a freeform blend like that. And again, this had a crown of 0.02, so I'm going to match that like that. And well, we'll just leave it for now. The only issue I have, so I don't know if this surface is supposed to be flat or not. If it is established as such as it is over here, that means that this also needs a little bit of a break, which I think it actually might have. So I do feel like there's a theoretical running all the way through. So maybe I'll have to do that. Yeah, I personally don't prefer not to do this because, well, it does add an element of a complication because right now I have to establish more surfaces to do so. But since it is, let me see if I can find a different image. Yeah, it definitely looks like it's going in. I'm going to see if I can find another reference where I might be able to check on this. So from this view, it's kind of, well, actually, yeah, I do see a little break here. I think that's a break. It's kind of hard to see on this one. While I do think there is a break, it's kind of hard to see, and I think it's a little bit more visible on this one. I wish that there was a better tip up view. Oh, okay, so maybe this will work. Yeah, there's definitely a break over here. I think the fillet is quite generous. However, there definitely is a break. So I think what I'm going to do is, because of the subtlety of the blend over here, I'm going to just pull this out just a little bit to make it a little bit smoother in transition. So I'm just going to pull it out as much as possible without distorting too much from the canvas, and I'm going to just snap this right here like that. Maybe I'll just need to go a little bit more inboard like this, and I'm going to give it a little bit of negative crown. Well, actually, I don't know. All right, so I would say that's good enough, and now let's establish more surfaces. Because there's a break here, everything has to be broken up in order to have a very similar feel. That said, I do see a little break. Okay, so let's go ahead and establish more surfaces. So what I'm going to do is, if you see this over here, you'll see that there's a little break over here. So I'm going to copy and paste over here, and I'm going to copy and paste over here. I'm going to copy and paste these two curves. And I'm just going to rotate them in a little bit using my right mouse button so that it just rotates about Z. And I'm going to go ahead and establish more surfaces like this. And while I think I'm just going to use a rail for now. And for this one, I'm just going to go straight up and down. Well, I don't know if there's an angle or not. I think I'm just going to go straight up and down. Now, I prefer to go straight up and down because that keeps the highlight nice and aligned. So I'm just going to go ahead and extend this piece over here. And I'm going to, oops, yeah, that's good. And I'm just going to do a rail like this. There's multiple spans, so I'm going to have to delete that or take care of that. But before that, I'm just going, well, why is it not matching over here? Oh, okay, so that's why. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab this curve over here and snap it here. That's good. And let's go ahead. And I'm going to create a curve like that for the undercut. And I'm just going to use a stretch tool like this. And it's just going to be a simple rail. There looks like there's a little bit of crown. So I'm going to grab this curve, give it a little bit of crown like this. And again, I'm just going to establish a rail over here. And I'm going to establish a rail over here. This one, unfortunately, looks like the surface is going, well, if the surface is going past that, that's okay. That's not too big of a problem. Okay, however, the curve seems to be a little bit short, so I'm just going to extend this one like this so that it intersects all the way through. And that doesn't look too bad. Okay, so from the side view, looks like it's establishing somewhere. The intersection seems to be going through about this point over here. So let me see if it looks good from. Okay, so in order to that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to intersect. Right now there are too many lines, so I'm just going to, yeah, well, maybe I'll just move it up but just a hair. So I'm just going to move this up. I don't think it needs to be like exact. It just needs to be close. And actually, let me see. Yeah. Actually, that's not a good picture. I think what's happening is I think the line is diving down just a little bit. So, this, I wish I could zoom into this one. So yeah, it's much more clear over here. As you can see over here, the line is going this way. I think it is touching here, but as it goes towards after the door cut line, it just dives down. So I think I need to be aware of that. But I do definitely think the line is going over here to this feature. So I would say that's not a bad height. If we need to refine it later, we can. So I think that is good enough for now. Okay, so let's go ahead and establish more surfaces. Okay, so we got some of the surfaces down in body side, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. So again, same thing. I do, oh, actually this one I probably need to make it bigger. So I'm just going to extend this surface over here. Now, I'm not quite sure about the depth, so I'll probably have to clean this up a little bit later. Actually, before that, let me just clean up the CV structure on this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do an align over here like this. And it's going to, I'm going to reduce the spans first, extra series of 2. And I'm going to increase the degree. Oh, not that one. This way. 3. And its position. And much cleaner. Okay, so that's good. However, I do think I need to extend this just a little bit more. So let me just extend this a little bit more so that it goes all the way down like that. And I say that's good. All right, so I think we established, we made some good progress on the surfaces on the body side. And I think I'll pick it back up in the next tutorial. Okay, so that is it for part 5. We will continue in the next tutorial, and thank you guys for watching.